If you all watched the lady in the orange shirts, you know, the one who said Satan is at work in these estrangements. If you haven't, I'm going to put the link in the description of this video. She's joined forces with, well, this platform right here that misrepresented me, talking about how I wished my mother dead, and just took this little snippet, which really what I was saying was when I was a small child, I was having fantasies about my mother dying so that I could be free, because me running away, which I was doing all the time, or her leaving somehow was never going to give me a feeling of safety. I needed her to be gone from the earth. And so they've joined forces. All right, let's just get into it. And then I'll tell you what I think. And I would love to hear what you think as well.
Good morning to all you moms out there. I hope you guys are all doing well. Today I want to talk a little bit about not chasing your kids. This is for the moms that have just entered into this no contact phase. First of all,
no contact phase. You know, kind of like when you're a little kid and you go through phases where your favorite thing is, well, I'll go with me, like Barbie. This is just a phase. Okay. I couldn't resist. I will play her whole video at the end, not chopped up into pieces. So if you want to see the whole thing, you can. And that way I'm not doing what this creator where she's on this platform is doing, which is misrepresenting her words. I will have it all at the end for you. Don't you worry, just in case you hadn't had enough of her.
First of all, what I want you guys to understand is these kids have already developed their own narrative. The people around them have helped them develop this narrative against you. So they've already labeled you. And the problem with this is once this happens, they have this power group behind them that says
they have a power group behind them. And here she is on the platform of another estranged parent who at least misrepresented me, an estranged adult daughter. I have the power group behind me, huh? I don't know about all of you. When I went no contact with my mother, and by the way, the narrative was that she would not respect my boundaries for the safety and well-being of my children, period. I didn't go no contact because I felt I deserved protection from her. At that point, I thought I was the cause of why she treated me the way she did. And I did fortunately have one person in my corner when I went no contact from her, which was my boyfriend at the time, who I ended up married to, and we stayed together 15 years, got divorced, everybody's good. Anyway, he had a degree in psychology, also just a very intelligent man, and he helped me to realize that the things she did to me were not my fault. I thought I was bad and that there was nothing wrong with her. It's so bizarre for me to think back over that. However, when I went no contact with her, the other people that I was related to, so-called family, nobody was calling to check on me. They weren't calling to check on me when I was in contact with her. Nobody was paying any mind or any attention. And sure, we lived in Miami, they lived in Montreal. Does that make me any less important as this young girl who ended up on the streets at the age of 13 because of her, because of my grandparents? 17, I am returned back home. I didn't just return home being a loose word. Nobody was actually taking any interest in me. They were busy living their own lives and I wasn't important to them. So who is it in your group of relatives or family that banded with you in the narrative? Was it your therapist, your friends? Like where does that come from? The majority of us that go no contact from narcissistic family systems, I'm not talking about your, for lack of a better way of putting it, run-of-the-mill dysfunctional families. Because in a dysfunctional family, when relationships start to break down, the person who is walking away doesn't typically lose everyone. and people don't become flying monkeys and all of those things. I'm not saying all of them are like that. There's levels of dysfunction. However, there isn't this cult mentality of we all band together and you can't disturb what's going on here. You can't expose, there isn't that same mentality. When you're walking away from a parent who is in a narcissistic cult, we tend to end up walking away alone, and nobody in the cult is interested in what our experience was. And I'm not going to say my truth. It was my experience. It isn't her truth and my truth. That makes me absolutely nuts. It wasn't, somewhere in the third party life. No. The truth is that my mother abused me emotionally and at times physically, more emotionally, day in and day out, and there is no other narrative to be had. I was a small child. She was large and in charge. They knew that she was problematic at a minimum. Also, they knew she was a criminal, and they know that she's a criminal now, convicted, by the way, and they stood with her. So I don't know where the narrative comes from in there, other than, what actually happens. The narrative that's created and the projection in this woman is thick, because the narrative that's created is by the parent who's large and in charge over the child who has no idea who they are, but for the reflection that they see in their parents' eyes. And whatever that looks like becomes truth for that child. So I was the family liar. I was a master manipulator, 4 years old, by the way. I was the family liar. That became that was the narrative that became my truth. Like, I believed everything that was said about me, and I knew that nobody was going to believe me. And I was, in some ways, the family liar, because I lied to protect my mother, because I lied to protect myself so that people wouldn't know how bad I was because of the way that she was treating me. I lied when my mother told me to. I manipulated to get my needs met, not in the way that I was trying to hurt people, but rather in the way that I was trying to protect myself. I echoed. I was a chameleon. I was all the things my mother was painting me to be, because I had to survive my environment. And as a child who was doing those things, not understanding why, these were mechanisms that were developed, that narrative became truth. And here she is talking about, how we have all these people behind us and this truth that we invent, the narrative that we invent and all this and that, when the majority of us have pretty lonely lives for very significant pockets of time. And some people are stuck in that, like in terms of they just don't have community. They're not in a position to build community, and it's much more difficult for them. When we're kids in school, we meet friendships, we build community. If we grow up and then we don't really work somewhere where we can build community, or we don't have an active life, or maybe we have health problems, or whatever it is, we have difficulty building relationships because of trust factors. We have difficulty identifying healthy relationships. We get burned out on being hurt because we have been taught we're not worthy of people who treat us well, that we don't have to work to earn their favor. There's so many moving pieces in here. And at the end of the day, most of us who estrange for at least some significant period of time end up alone on an island, and maybe our best friend is our therapist. I had the luck of having a supportive boyfriend husband at the time. There was a period where we got divorced, and when my kids were with him for the holidays, guess who was alone without all of these people she's talking about? While I was going through the phase. Okay, this is really early into this one.
No. You don't want to go near that person because that person's toxic for you. So moms, you're wasting your time. Take this from a friend. I've been there. I've done this. This started in my life 10 years ago with my oldest son, and it just was brutal in the beginning. But 10 years out of this, I have learned so much. I've learned so much, and God has brought me so close to his heart and shown me my worth. You see, moms, your worth is far more than what you might think it is. God used you as a vessel to bring these people into the world, okay?
These people into the world. I'm not going to, poopy on her religious beliefs. How about that? Shit on them. I'm not going to do that. I would never do that. I would never do that for anyone. I am going to expose the fact that she's hiding behind her religious beliefs. She believes and blames, and if you watch the other video that's linked here, that Satan is at work here and has a big plan. It's also our fault as adult sons and daughters. Mostly, though, it's Satan's fault because we are too stupid to have our own belief systems and to have our free will and be able to operate in the world without being under the influence of somebody else who's guiding our decisions. And what I think it really is she's angry that she lost that control, which was designed to do just that, keep her children in a place where all of their decisions centered around what her needs were. That's who she is as a mother. And she reminds me of the people who say, in response to, you really hurt me when, you did that thing the other day, or I feel very abandoned, or whatever it is. And they turn around and instead of saying, okay, let's talk about that. I'm so sorry that I hurt you. What can I do to mend this? What do you need from me? That sort of thing. They say things like, okay, I'm going to pray for you and I'm going to pray for our relationship. I hope you forgive me. That's who she is. And so 10 years out, she's giving advice to estranged parents when she herself is still estranged because she's giving them, well, not because, she is giving them advice so that they can be where she is. She can have a following. Maybe she can earn a little bit of money off of her following, and misery loves company. She is right. Don't chase. However, she's wording it wrong. How about don't cross those boundaries? How about go to therapy? Okay, maybe find God for her therapy. Okay, whatever that looks like. However, instead of wanting better for the other parents that are out there and wanting them to have at least an opportunity, if they want it, to be able to repair, not reconcile status quo, their relationships, she wants them to find peace in where they are and not do any better and put everything onto a third party or entity in this case so that they don't have to change any of their behaviors.
Okay? And you loved them and you nurtured them and you gave them all that you could. And for some reason, they decided they had no tolerance for you and that whatever you did for them, it wasn't enough.
For some reason, they decided they had no tolerance for you. Even though I carried them in utero for 9 months, and she goes through a whole thing. I mean, even though a mother-child bond, father-child bond strong for sure, not negating that. However, a mother-child bond is the strongest bond on earth. A child is born unconditionally in the truest sense of the word in every way possible, unconditionally loving and in love with their mother, like not romantic love, don't get me wrong. Our mother is our first love. And to damage that biological and emotional need, you really have to do extraordinary things to be able to do that. They've done studies, and this is from, I can't remember which book, but it was decades ago that I read it. And there was a snippet in there that has always stayed with me, where a mother took her, TW warning here, her little boy, he was under the age of 10 is my best recollection, and put his hand on a stove and burnt it. And when social services came to take this child and intervene, the child said, no, I did it, and all of these things, and the child wanted to go back to the mother. And eventually they did send the child back, and the mother, to my best recollection, so you can fact check me on this one and correct me if I'm not recollecting it correctly. The theme of it is absolutely correct. There was another situation of abuse. I don't remember if it was exactly the same action type of thing. And when they were doing this study, what they recognized was that no matter how or at what level a child was abused, how they were violated or at what level they were abused, particularly by the mother, their overwhelming need was to go back because they needed their mother to love them. And so here she goes diminishing it under, they call you toxic and, we just didn't do enough for them. And I think she believes it. Like, I can't imagine that she doesn't and she speaks it out loud. And so and because she's so religious, I would think she would have to believe it because otherwise wouldn't she get in trouble for lying? Wouldn't lightning maybe come down? I mean, if she believes that the end is coming because of how families are being split apart by Satan, wouldn't she be afraid to lie? So she must buy her own bullshit. What do you think about that? I'm very curious to know.
But you see, God says it was more than enough. Now, I'm not talking, and I always state this in my videos. This is...
Okay, wait a minute. So God said it was more than enough. Does anybody remember that piece of garbage girl who went away for like 2 weeks on vacation, left her little child, I think the child was a yearish to 18 months, something like that, in a playpen the whole time she was gone, and the child died of starvation, likely crying for their mother? And what did she do when she was in court? When she made her statement and whatever, I know God has forgiven me. How the fuck do you know that? Because I got to tell you, that is not forgivable. I need to switch cups. Yeah, here we go. All right. Oh, if you're wondering, is it backwards? I think it's backwards. I'll take a picture of it and flip it around so you can read it. Which checkbox should I use?
It's not about mental abuse. This is not about physical abuse. If any person out there any kid is out there and they're in a violent or unsafe environment, they need to get away. I'm talking about the moms that gave it their all. They gave it their all and it wasn't enough. But you see, the problem...
I didn't get away because I was physically afraid of my mother. Well, first of all, I got away because she was mind-fucking my children. They were 6 and 2, and I've been no contact ever since, with the exception of when she showed up 17 years later as a fully formed person who was about the same size as her. I don't remember at that point in my life feeling physically unsafe with her. And this is a woman who dropped me out of a 2-story window when I was like 5-ish years old. My fear of her ran deeper than the physical. My fear of her, because if someone's going to throw a punch, you can duck and you see it coming and they may land it anyway, but it's coming. When you're dealing with emotional abuse, while you know it's going to come, you don't really know when. And so we're forced to be these super readers, hypervigilant, that sort of thing, to try to figure out what we need to morph into or how small we need to be, manipulate our environment, the abusive parent who's emotionally violating us, to be able to hopefully dodge that punch we can't see coming. And for me personally, and I know many people out there, that was way more damaging and destabilizing and long lasting in my psyche and did form complex PTSD for me. It wasn't the physical. The physical was few and far between. But that's, that emotional abuse that created this complex PTSD, that's not good enough. She kind of said emotional, I think. I cut it a little bit. However, she's painting it like it has to be a certain level of bad for it to be acceptable to her. Who died and made her God? Isn't there a whole judgment thing that you're not supposed to be doing? Okay.
But you see, the problem is our society today is teaching these kids no tolerance. They have no tolerance for you. They've already developed their own narrative. I say this over and over again. They've labeled you, and they have therapists today that are out there telling these kids, it's okay to get rid of your mom or your dad. Because if they're bad for you, rather than work through it and bring them here to the therapy session so we can all figure out the root of the problem and get it solved, they tell the kids, it's okay, go ahead, just get rid of them, wipe them out. Heck, because today it's all about self-satisfaction.
They say this, they say that. Has she even ever been in a therapist's office to actually know how it works? Or is she just regurgitating what she hears from so many of these other same type of estranged parents? And I say it that way because not every estranged parent is like this. However, the content creators out there that are estranged parents, from what I have seen so far, and I've been doing this for 5 years, I think I've been on the other platform, and I don't know how long on this one. On YouTube, I've been focusing more on YouTube the last couple of years, but I've been watching this content for a really long time, right? Not to mention, I actually am a therapist, and I work with narcissistic family system survivors. And there are times that the mom does come in. And you know what's really interesting about that is the moms that I have come in with their adult son or their adult daughter, most of the time, not every time, are the ones who actually do want repair, and they're not there just to look good or say they did it. And maybe that's just the luck of how things roll out in my practice, because I don't know about anybody else's. I don't know about their practice and their practice. I do know that a lot of the people that I get, and I will say occasionally I'll get somebody who comes in and they are there for performative reasons and they never come back. And that's what tells that story more than anything else. Some of it is their phrasing, the things they talk about, blah, 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 that sort of thing. The majority of it is they never come back. And then the relationship implodes to low contact or no contact. And that's never up to me. That will never be up to me. I would never wish for anybody on this earth to experience the loneliness, the heartbreak, the isolation that I have experienced as a result of not having a family, like a real family. I have relatives, DNA, but I don't have those family relationships. I would never wish this on someone as a human, let alone a therapist. And a lot of people who go into helping, ways of making a living, like we become the helpers of the world. Not all of us, obviously, but a lot of us have personal experience that has driven us to go where we are. The majority of what I see in my clientele that come to me from other therapists have said to me at one point in time, and they've maybe been to several therapists and had several therapists over the years where, they had them for 2-3 years and felt like they brought them as far as they could, and they outgrew that therapy relationship, and then they took a break and they found another therapist because they wanted other things. I mean, we practice different modalities. Like this paintbrush of we're all doing the same thing is categorically untrue. She wouldn't know that though, because obviously she isn't doing any of that kind of work. And if she says she's been to therapy, I wish I had been a fly on the wall to see how long and how that rolled out. All that to be said, I get the majority of my clients who've been in therapy before, regardless of one person or 10 people, many times, most times have been told the same and similar things, but it's your mother. My name on this channel is not by accident. There are a lot of therapists out there who are concerned about pushing the family staying together because there is a benefit to that if the family is healthy enough for those relationships not to be continually damaging the client, our client. Not every narcissistic family system has a mother and a father who should be estranged from kind of thing. There's kind of gradients to it. Just like, when we look at borderline personality disorder, we look at narcissistic personality disorder, it's a spectrum. And if you're over in the BPD side, or even as a parent with complex PTSD, that's a parent that can be helped, that's treatable. There's a spectrum in there. There could be value in that relationship for that adult son or daughter, and that's up to them. I have plenty of people in my practice that I don't think will ever end up going no contact or even low contact, because there's enough benefit in those relationships that there's not a reason for them to do that. I've never told a client they should go no contact. I've also never disagreed with them when they've said, I'd like to go no contact. We're supposed to support people where they are, and we're supposed to help people develop the tools that they need to be able to make informed, grounded, critical thinking decisions for themselves. And I've had clients also who, while in my practice, have gone no contact and then later been like, I don't know if this is right for me or what I should do. And I always tell them, this is in your hands to decide what's best for you. I can't control if the parent has now closed the door and won't let them back in. And that's what we can't talk about how they may or may not react. However, I can tell my clients, you can pick up the phone, you can write a letter, you can unblock. This is your decision, how you want people in your life, who you want in your life, who you want to give access to, and all of those things. I always let my client know they have the options that they choose to have. And I don't think I am the minority in the way that I practice my therapy. I really do not. Just based on, I'm in this community of therapists, of psychologists, of psychiatrists. I have clients that we end up sharing back and forth, and I get referrals from other professionals who are far more educated than I am, by the way, in terms of degrees and books and things like that. And maybe it's because it's my community, we share the same viewpoint. I think it's actually more tied to the fact that more of us are trauma-informed care providers than those therapists who aren't looking at their client in that way. Like, it's very invalidating to tell somebody you should be in a relationship, you need them, right? That's not the way that should roll out. Even if the therapist thinks maybe that's not in their best interest, they need to be therapizing in a way that they talk about almost devil's advocate without the invalidation thing, to help a client reach good decisions that not they can just live with, but that they're at peace with. Like, this is so important. I'm a they, I guess. I'm a they. I wonder if I'm Satan too. Just so you all know, I have a really good sense of humor, if you couldn't tell. You have to.
It's all about, how can I make me happy? It's not about respect, honor, integrity. They don't have that today because they are lovers of self and they only think of themselves. Moms, do you think they really care that you're laying there crying your eyes out?
You know what I hear? They're so selfish. You're so selfish. Oh, she tells on herself.
Do you think they really care for 1 second? They don't care. They're out doing their own thing, living their own lives to fulfill their own needs. And they forget so easily.
You know what makes me so sad about that statement is that I cannot tell you the number of clients that I've had who are worried about the emotional and physical well-being of the parent that they've walked away from. Like, it's such a common theme, and it's not just out of guilt, it's out of genuine, I feel like I'm destroying my parent. And that's bred out of the fact that parent made them so emotionally responsible for their well-being that the conditioning is real, right? It's like they're not focused on, I feel better without this parent. Not that they're not looking at it, but they're really, especially in the early days, or not even just in the early days, different times of year and things like that, super aware that their parent is in pain or might be in pain. And so what a selfish piece of human garbage, and selfish in the bad way, she is to state something like that. Like, we're these cold, robotic people who don't care about, hurting somebody. Could it be because she's the cold, robotic control freak of a person who doesn't care about her the well-being of her emotional adult son in this case? I'm sure she doesn't care about anybody's emotional well-being outside of herself, just by virtue of the way she presents herself, how she speaks, how self-centered she is, all the things she's accusing the estranged adult sons and daughters out there of being. And, so she can be selfish, and it's a good thing. And if we take care of ourselves, that kind of selfishness is a bad thing. That selfish word gets leveraged so terribly. Please be selfish. We're allowed to be selfish. We're supposed to be selfish. Being selfish is not the same thing as being self-centered and not giving a damn about how you impact others in the world. It means that you are prioritizing yourself so that you are building healthy, good relationships with other people that are safe to worry about, because they're not manipulating you into being what they need you to be, but rather you're in these reciprocal relationships because you do have self-respect, self-love, selfishness, and the ability to have boundaries and things like that these people like to weaponize. These people. I did it. I'm leaving it there. I'm these people. She's these people. I feel a little nanny boo boo right now.
The person that was there for them through everything as they were growing up. So moms, my suggestion to you, and I'm going to tell you guys what helped me. I got close to Jesus. My relationship with Jesus is stronger than ever. He is my rock. He is my everything. Go buy a Bible, Mom, if you don't have one. Open it up to Isaiah and start reading the scriptures. You'll be amazed. King Solomon and King David, thousands of years ago, went through this. Do you guys know that King David of Israel had a son named Absalom? Absalom betrayed his father in the worst way. King David, his father. He actually wanted to send him to battle and have him killed. Absalom was not a very good person. But at the end of his life, his father accepted his apology and took him back in. You see, God has this plan, and sometimes it's painful and it really hurts, but God showed me through so much that He is sovereign, He is in control, and He loves you, Mom. He loves you, and you are worth gold to Him. Give your heart to Jesus and let God be your best friend. He will carry you through this.
Just a quick question, because I've never read the Bible, and by the way, in the last video, a lot of you left comments where she was misquoting stories and things like that. So I guess she needs to go back to Bible study or whatever. Does anyone think that this is her way of taking a shot at her son, like saying her son is in the wrong and did all of these things, and if he comes back, she'll forgive him, just like, who did she say? David, King Solomon. I'm sorry. I'm terrible religiously. I'm not terrible spiritually. I don't talk about my belief systems or anything like that either, but I've never read the Bible, so I really don't know. And I'm happy to say I don't know what I don't know. I know it's shocking. I don't know everything. I mean, I'm a mother. Don't I know everything? I know better than everybody else, right? Anyway, does anyone think that that's a not so well veiled message to her son, just in case he's watching?
And sometimes it's painful and it really hurts, but God showed me through so much that He is sovereign, He is in control, and He loves you, Mom. He loves you, and you are worth gold to Him. Give your heart to Jesus and let God be your best friend. He will carry you through this storm. He already predicted thousands of years ago that we would be living through this. So put on your helmet of salvation. You're saved by the blood of Jesus Christ, and walk in faith. Let them do their thing. It's okay. God's got this, and God's got you, moms. God bless you guys. Have a great weekend.
Okay. I think I have another one of her. So, and I'd like to say it'll be the last one I feature. I thought that one I did already was going to be the last one, so we're not even going to worry about that right now. Oh, and just as a little side note, if you notice on all of my videos now, I have a join button, which YouTube has granted me an ability to have another level of community where you can join if you're looking for targeted content, meaning you can leave me a comment on there and say, will you make me a video about I'm struggling to set boundaries. I also do journal prompts in there. I do healing tips in there, a little bit of content that's just for the membership portion. It's like $3 or $4 a month. I really keep it low. We can set any price that we want, and I want everybody to be able to access it. And also I want to be able to give you what you're looking for and kind of separate it out from my main content kind of thing. So if you're interested in that, or if you have questions about that, you can drop it in the comment section below. So anyway, now you know what the join button is for in case you noticed it and you weren't sure. And hitting the join button doesn't mean you join. You can choose what level you want to be at and whether or not you want to. You can try it for a month, and if you don't like it, it's all up to you. So I did want to let you know that was available to you. All right, let's get to the next video. I'm pretty sure there was another one that I did of her. Hold on. If I'm not back with it, then this entire video will be played at the end. Okay, sorry about that. It wasn't her that I had another video of. I thought it was. And if you stay tuned for the next video, or it might be a couple of videos away. So, because I have some editing and posting and all that good stuff to do. The one that I was thinking of is the one I'm going to give you. Okay. Anyway, thank you so much for being here. At the end of this video will be her entire, spiel. And I'll see you soon. Thanks.
Good morning to all you moms out there. I hope you guys are all doing well. Today I want to talk a little bit about not chasing your kids. This is for the moms that have just entered into this no contact phase. First of all, what I want you guys to understand is these kids have already developed their own narrative. The people around them have helped them develop this narrative against you. So they've already labeled you. And the problem with this is once this happens, they have this power group behind them that says, no, you don't want to go near that person because that person's toxic for you. So moms, you're wasting your time. Take this from a friend. I've been there. I've done this. This started in my life 10 years ago with my oldest son, and it just was brutal in the beginning. But 10 years out of this, I have learned so much. I've learned so much, and God has brought me so close to his heart and shown me my worth. You see, moms, your worth is far more than what you might think it is. God used you as a vessel to bring these people into the world, okay? And you loved them and you nurtured them and you gave them all that you could. And for some reason, they decided they have no tolerance for you and that whatever you did for them, it wasn't enough. But you see, God says it was more than enough. Now, I'm not talking, and I always state this in my videos, this is not about mental abuse. This is not about physical abuse. If any person out there any kid is out there and they're in a violent or unsafe environment, they need to get away. I'm talking about the moms that gave it their all. They gave it their all and it wasn't enough. But you see, the problem is our society today is teaching these kids no tolerance. They have no tolerance for you. They've already developed their own narrative. I say this over and over again. They've labeled you. And they have therapists today that are out there telling these kids, it's okay to get rid of your mom or your dad. Because if they're bad for you, rather than work through it and bring them here to the therapy session so we can all figure out the root of the problem and get it solved, they tell the kids, it's okay, go ahead, just get rid of them, wipe them out. Heck, because today it's all about self-satisfaction. It's all about how can I make me happy? It's not about respect, honor, integrity. They don't have that today. Because they are lovers of self and they only think of themselves. Moms, do you think they really care that you're laying there crying your eyes out? Do you think they really care for 1 second? They don't care. They're out doing their own thing, living their own lives to fulfill their own needs. And they forget so easily the person that was there for them through everything as they were growing up. So moms, my suggestion to you, and I'm going to tell you guys what helped me. I got close to Jesus. My relationship with Jesus is stronger than ever. He is my rock. He is my everything. Go buy a Bible, Mom, if you don't have one. Open it up to Isaiah and start reading the scriptures. You'll be amazed. King Solomon and King David, thousands of years ago, went through this. Do you guys know that King David of Israel had a son named Absalom? Absalom betrayed his father in the worst way. King David, his father. He actually wanted to send him to battle and have him killed. Absalom was not a very good person, but at the end of his life, his father accepted his apology and took him back in. You see, God has this plan, and sometimes it's painful and it really hurts, but God showed me through so much that he is sovereign, he is in control, and he loves you, Mom. He loves you, and you are worth gold to him. Give your heart to Jesus and let God be your best friend. He will carry you through this storm. He already predicted thousands of years ago that we would be living through this. So put on your helmet of salvation. You're saved by the blood of Jesus Christ. And walk in faith. Let them do their thing. It's okay. God's got this. And God's got you moms. God bless you guys. Have a great weekend. Good morning to all you moms out there. I hope you guys are all